All right, welcome to Your Time, Your Money, the show where your time is just as valuable as your money, and we know that. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm here with my guest host.
Hello.
Partner, Adam Jones.
How are you guys?
Hey, we have a great show set for today. We thought that, it might be prudent to discuss what it is that we do for clients or people that may want to get into our industry.
Yeah. I know for me, it was I was a career changer. So I was always interested in what the financial world was and everything. And I needed to find out what those steps were to become a financial advisor. And in my case, again, it was a career change. So it'd be good to talk about that today.
Yeah, because our industry, it does deal with products and formulas and knowing the technical end of things, but it also deals with being a business owner.
Yep.
And it deals with helping people out, right? And I think maybe identifying the things that got us into the business and the things we enjoy about the business may spark some interest for our listeners to say, hey, you know what, this may be a career path that we want to choose.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, I needed, be specifically business based in college, and then I needed to, have a degree in finance, and I need to have, read these white papers and this doctorate on investing strategies and what have you, which all that stuff helps, but advisors themselves have to be a good business owner.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of it comes through, we've talked about this in the podcast before, but education, right? Financial education. A lot of times people are afraid of our industry because they didn't grow up with a knowledge of the financial world. And so a lot of times people are kind of scratching their heads a little bit and think that, like you said, I didn't get a finance degree, so I can't go do that.
Yeah.
I
think the first step that, if somebody were to get in our industry and do what it is that we do is first thing you want to do is you want to find a good broker dealer.
Yeah.
You want to find a good company or platform that you can conduct your business off of that is efficient, that listens to you and makes changes as they need. But most importantly, and we've used this analogy on different episodes, is we want something where you can offer all the products.
Right. All the tools in the financial tool belt.
Yeah, there are some companies that you will go and interview with, and the conversation will be centered around maybe their product or proprietary system that they have. But when push comes to shove, the more products that you can offer a client, the better it is for your business.
Right, and just for clarification for those listening or watching, proprietary products are products that might be insurance products or annuity products or investment products that are proprietary to that one organization.
Only sold by that organization. And some of those organizations may have relationships with maybe 4 or 5 or a dozen other firms to sell their products.
Yep.
But on the whole spectrum of products they can offer, maybe they're only 15 or 20% of the products that are actually on the market. Right. So any business owner, if you're going to, venture into that business, you want to have the best possibility to offering a product to a client as you can.
The best solutions for a need.
Yeah, the best solutions that you have. So the very first thing is to, really educate yourself on the different companies that are out there, and in that interview process, ask them what type of platform are they. Are they proprietary? Are they maybe self-clearing? Do they have the ability to go and offer a Vanguard, a Fidelity, in addition to, different life insurance, different annuity companies across the board?
Right. And that really leads to what we would call open architecture platforms, where you do have access to all of these different types of products and availability for solutions.
Yeah, and there's 3 different ways that advisors can kind of, I'd say 3 different general ways, that an advisor can be into the business. First is an independent model, right? 1099, you acquire your licenses, which we'll go over in a second, to be able to do and transact the business that we do, but you are your own business owner. You can have your own office somewhere. You can lease, you can rent. Maybe it's a shingle off an addition on your house, or whatever it might be. But that's a true independent model where you're clearing through a firm, and a firm that you would clear through would be something like a Cetera, something like an LPL, something like other firms that are out there that allow you to transact business on their portfolio. Then you have the bank model, right, where you have a set location. Maybe it's a 9 to 5. Type of schedule where your leads are generated by tellers, other people in the organization, and then there's the hybrid model, which is similar to us, where we kind of have an office, we have structure, but we also are independent and have a platform where we can offer more than just the proprietary things that are at a bank or some of the other organizations. Now, I'm sure some of the astute listeners might send in messages, well, there's a lot of other models or things you can get in. True, but in general, those are the three that you want to look at as an advisor. Right? And neither is right or wrong.
And I was going to say, each one is going to offer pluses and minuses, and really, as you said, none of them are right or wrong. It's really what is the best fit for you. As the individual.
Because some of the models will have support. They'll have a structure where leads are generated for you. Maybe you're paying for those leads because you're taking a lower commission or something along that lines. Some models that don't have that, you get paid higher, but now it's up to you to prospect and find your own leads and develop that out of maybe your core friends, family early on, right? So both have their pros and cons. Right, is the main point. And one thing that I always tell people when they come in the industry is you want to put together a list of potential clients, right? People that networks and niches. And that's one of the best ways to start in our industry is to help friends and family out.
The old, hey, who do you know? Start making a list and see how many you can list. Friends, family.
And then once you go through those interviews, once you go through that, find a clearing firm that you want to be with, find a broker that you want to be with. Then it's obviously you have to get licensed. Right. The Securities Exchange Commission, FINRA, they're not going to let you just go out there and say, oh, I'm a financial advisor. I'm going to give you financial advice without any certification, any education or training or anything along that line. So, we go through a series of exams, and the exams are, there's a lot of different exams that you can get out there. And the exams are individual to the different types of products. So they're either allow you to deal in certain products and markets, or they're regulatory in nature to prove that you are familiar with the regulatory guidelines, laws, best interest, things like that for a client.
And I was going to say, in terms of management too, if you were managing your own office, you might need different licenses as well.
And whether you want to be a fiduciary or not, right? So you can work for a broker dealer and sell a product, which there's nothing wrong with. There's certain products that are suitable for certain clients and that will get them to retirement. And then there's also then being a fiduciary. And that's working with all the products and making sure that you're making decisions based on, the client's goals and getting to a point.
So their best interest.
Their best interest overall, right? And neither's right or wrong. They both have advantages, I guess you would say, when you're starting out. But ultimately, if you want to be an advisor, you want to be in that fiduciary world if you can.
Yes.
Where you're not.
I was just going to say, when that's an important factor for both clients listening and people that are potentially considering being an advisor down the road, is that distinction between someone who can just sell a product and someone who's making the decisions in the best interest of the client at all times, and that's really what we strive for. But it's an important thing for clients and should be for yourself as well, I feel.
And a lot of the exams, you need some type of sponsor, some type of supervisory overview, of your trade, your practice, and things along that lines. So simple exams would be, say, your state accident, life, and health. Right. That enables you to deal in accident, life, and health. Pretty self-explanatory.
Insurance.
In the insurance world. But not all insurances, right? Because if you don't have what's called your Series 63, you usually can't trade in variable insurance type products, right? So you have your Series 63, which is another securities exam that a lot of people get under their belt. And some people start with just the Series 6.
Yep.
A Series 6 exam allows you to deal in the mutual fund transaction world, right? But you have to stay in that world.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And so
and that world is changing tremendously. In the way that, again, because the regulation best interest is a key factor here, and again, operating under the best interest of the client, and depending on the type of, again, that world of mutual funds is just changing.
Yeah,
So.
and obviously you progress. And some people go right full bore and get their two main exams, right? The ones we consider the cream of the crop, or the ones that allow you to be a fiduciary and build a practice,
Right.
and do all the things that you need to do. And that's that powerful combination of your Series 7 and then either your 65 or 66.
Right. Yep.
Right. And the difference between those being is if you have your 7 already, your 66 is the next exam you should take.
Right.
If you don't have your Series 7, a 65 is the exam to allow you to do advisory type accounts, right?
Yep.
And the Series 7 is more allowing you to do individual equity options, trading, things along that lines.
And I did my 65 first, and then I did my 7.
Yeah.
So that's in my case.
And for the listeners, I mean, these are not easy
I was
exams.
just going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in some cases they recommend 3 to 6 months of solid study.
Yeah.
Some of the exams are hours to take.
Yep.
And I know there's now the SIE, right, which they've broken out some of the material. It's another exam.
That's the first one.
That's the first one.
That's the first one you have to
that's
take.
come out. And these exams are. I think their average pass ratio, somebody had said, was like, I don't know, 60, 70% was the average pass ratio.
Yeah.
And the average score is in the 70s
Yep.
in passing the exams.
Yeah.
So they are by no means easy exams to pass.
No, and they're obviously designed to make sure that we know as advisors what we're doing in the field and industry of the products or solutions that we're discussing with clients. And some people are great test takers, but can't really work very well with people. And there's people that work great with people, but can't pass the exams.
Yeah.
And, it is a factor for anybody's practice and consideration.
Well, that's a good transition as to why would you want to be an advisor?
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Like, why would you want to go through, endless hours
Yep.
and time of study and exams and licensing, fingerprint, background check, right?
Yeah.
These are all things that you need as an advisor. You need an FBI background check. You need to be fingerprinted. You have to have full disclosures. You can't have bankruptcy in a certain period of time. You have to have a good, you have to be good with money
Yep.
in your own life. In addition to that, the fact that you're making recommendations to clients out there. But it is one of the most rewarding, and I can speak for myself. One of the best things that I enjoy about it is that relationship that you build with clients.
Yeah.
We're in a situation where, being 20 some years in the business, some of my first clients had newborns, and now those kids are in college or coming out of college. Talk about seeing the effects of your advice and guidance in a family as they progress, whether it's with their children or people getting, that you get early on in your career in 50 and now they're in their 70s, and you've seen them retire, you've seen them travel and do all the things that they want to do because of the advice and guidance that you made. And that's one of the most self-rewarding things out there.
Yeah. I was going to say, for me, it's 1,000% helping people. I love helping people in the financial capacity. We've talked about this before, but one of the number one questions I get is, can I retire? I just don't know if I can retire. And helping them develop a plan that shows them that they can retire or when they can retire. And sort of that relief that someone gets when they go, okay, all right, yeah, good, I can do this. It's fun to do that. For me, I look forward to my week every week.
And just that's very common between you and I. But there are a lot of people that get into being financial advisors because they like the math.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
they like somebody to throw a puzzle on the table, and they like to be able to put that puzzle together because every puzzle's a little different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They like the challenge of analyzing markets and return and how investments correlate or non-correlate with each other. And they like being
Compounding interest.
very
and stuff,
very
yeah.
technical within their analysis. And for some people, that's why being a financial advisor is so enjoyable.
It's funny you say this. My daughter and I were talking about math, and she does very well in math. But she's like, it's really not my favorite subject. And I said to her, I go, well, maybe you just need to find the math that you like. And I said, I didn't like math, but I love financial math. It's fun for me. But, if you had said that to me when I was in high school, I'd tell you you're crazy. You know what I mean? It's so, it's just, it is fun for me. But yeah, like I said. Like you said.
And just to be fair to listeners that are thinking about or just curious about the financial industry that we're in, is there's different ways that you can kind of build your own retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Right. One is through, just working in a financial profession and getting a salary and or commission or whatever that might be, saving in your own retirement accounts,
Mm-hmm.
building up your own IRAs, 401k assets and stuff like that. And another way that sometimes the independent model does is that as you build up those relationships with your clients, you usually build a team around that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your succession plan where somebody comes in and they say, hey, I am going to take over where you left off
Yep.
in caring for your clients.
Mm-hmm.
In exchange for that, I'm going to buy you out of your practice, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Just like any other business owner would if they
Right.
were to sell a business.
Right.
I have a friend that actually just bought Mr. Dingling.
Oh.
So the ice cream
Yeah.
ice cream place,
Yep.
right? Well, when that gentleman retired that owned it prior, what did he do? He sold his business. He transferred his business to a new owner. Right? Got some type of buyout, got some type of purchase for a sale of his business. And the financial industry is no different if you build your business around that model.
He doesn't. Your friend doesn't need to change his name to Dingling, his last name, right?
No.
Okay,
No,
all
that
right.
wasn't part of the contract.
Okay.
Nope. No, and I don't think the guy that retired's last name was actually Dingling
okay.
either.
It was
But
the guy prior to him. No.
oh man, too many jokes we can make on
Right,
that one. Anyway, let's stay focused here,
Yes,
Mr.
yes,
Jones.
yes.
But that's one of the advantages of being an independent, building your own practice, your own model is that down the road you can retire with it.
Right. You're building. You have the opportunity to build something greater than yourself, for true generational succession planning.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. Our team's talked about it. As perhaps maybe our kids want to take over that
Right.
practice at some point.
Yep.
And that is encouraging to know that you're building something that perhaps you can transfer to your kids. You can transfer down generation to generation, down the line. So those are, I think, the wins of being an advisor.
Absolutely.
Right. I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about some of the things we don't like of being an advisor, right? And those things are changing regulatory environment.
Yeah.
Not that regulations are not good, but sometimes when you're doing planning and developing planning, and all of a sudden Social Security changes the rules,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Things
the
that are
federal
out of our
government
control,
changes
yeah.
the rules, all of a sudden now you have to go back and find an option B for your clients after you've been directing them in a path for the last 10 or 15 years.
Yep.
Tax laws change, right?
Yep.
And if they change dramatically and they end up causing problems for your client that you've been giving an advice to for the last 15 or 20 years, well, that's not good either.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So, that's one. And we are in a client service business, right? We deal with people, and sometimes people don't mesh.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And sometimes that's a drawback to being in our industry. If you don't just gel or click with a client, or sometimes we're the middleman, right, between a divorce,
Yeah. Yep.
say, right? And that's never a good situation to be in.
Yeah.
And emotionally, I think the hardest part for me with being an advisor is you have those relationships for 20 years or plus, and these are people that pass,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing you maybe have a core group of maybe 10 people in your family that are going to pass by the time you pass, but when you start dealing with hundreds of households,
Yeah.
exponentially, you're losing clients at some point at a rate of a couple a month, a couple a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these are serious people you have relation with. Sometimes I see them more than some relatives.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So all things that are I guess, negatives in our business, but is why we do it too.
Sure.
Right? And that's an important part.
Well, and you know, along that too, not necessarily negative because it keeps us fresh, of course, but part of, you know, the licensing process and maintaining our licenses is the continuing education that we have to do every single year. You know, and that's, you know, again,
it's funny you should say that. I think I just finished my 7th hour
right
for this week.
I'm gearing up for mine, but yeah, that's the thing. It's just it's another component of things that we have to do, and you know, they're not always necessarily fun, but it's for a good reason. You know, it's to keep us, like I said, fresh and knowing what those laws and those changes that happen.
That's also the fun or encouraging part of our practice, is that because those things are changing all the time, it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
Right. It keeps you mentally aware, mentally fit. You don't get complacent, or hopefully you don't get complacent. Right. Like good advisors don't. They continue to keep educating themselves and moving on. So, you know, we bring this up, obviously, as we close down. We bring this up because, you know, it's a great profession to be in. I don't think people see behind the scenes how important it is that, you know, advisors can build a practice for their clients and for their families and stuff like that. If there are listeners out there that are interested in finding out about being a financial advisor with Cetera Investors or any firm that they might be looking at, feel free to reach out to us. You can find us at 43 British American Boulevard in Latham, New York, 12110. You can reach us at 844-444-YTYM or at yourtimeyourmoney.net. We'd be more than happy to spend some time with you, talk about the profession, talk about maybe the possibilities of coming in for an interview and seeing if it's right for you as well. It's a you know, it's a good thing to bring somebody in and see them grow and prosper, you know, in an organization, and you know, as somebody actually came in from another career change, sometimes it's the best thing that you can do.
Absolutely. And that was, you know, just a real quick side note on that. You know, prior to this, I was director of operations for an estate planning law firm, and what really enticed me to come into this industry was seeing what happened when people didn't do planning. And I wanted to be on the other side of the desk helping people in the planning process. So that's why it's near and dear to me.
Yep. And as always, it's your time,
your money.